So, today, top 5 mistakes to avoid in 2026. These are the top 5 things I see year after year after year that people keep falling into. They keep trying the same thing over and over again, and they think it's a motivation problem. They think, oh, I just need to try harder. When in reality, your plan just sucks. Okay. You can't keep doing these same things over and over again and expect a different result. There's a reason they don't work. Okay. But we're going to talk about what to do instead so that way you can finally start seeing the results that you want. Because at the end of the day, that's what we want, right? We want results. We don't care about these methods or anything like that. We're not trying to be in the cool kids club and do what everybody else is doing and just force feed these things that don't work. At the end of the day, I'm hoping that it's like, hey, whatever will get me what I want, that's what I want to do. So let's come at it with that frame of mind so that way we can let go of some of these things that we just keep holding on to that aren't serving us. All right. So, number one, the biggest one that usually happens right around now, because I'm releasing this on the first Tuesday of 2026. And that's Monday, Tuesday is when people get going, when they start up, and they usually start up with just cardio. Now, don't get me wrong. It is a great starting point, getting your cardio respiratory fitness in check so that way you could do harder forms of activity like weight training or high intensity style cardio rather than just the low intensity style stuff. It's a great, very accessible starting point, whether that is jogging or walking or any other cardio that you enjoy. Honestly, not bad. It's really awesome. I highly recommend doing it. But you can't just do cardio. Like for a lot of people that are in the fat loss category that are like, I want to burn body fat and tone up, just cardio is not going to do it. Now, people look at runners and they're like, ooh, I want to look like that. They run, so they must look like that because they run. When in reality, it's usually the flip of that. They run because they're good at it because they look like that. They don't hold a lot of body fat. They don't have a very big frame, so it's easy for them to run long distances. So it kind of self-selects. So don't also fall into that category of people that say, I want to look like them, I'm going to do what they do. That's not how the game is played. A lot of people self-select to things that favor their attributes that they have. So definitely don't want to do that. You got to figure out the plan for you. And that usually involves cardio and strength training because at the end of the day, cardio does not help with, like, number one, just making life easier, daily tasks a lot easier, like carrying the groceries, your kids walking up the stairs. Strength training is the name of the game when it comes to stuff like that, where you feel like, oh, I don't feel so out of breath when I do these things because I'm strong enough to where it's like not really a big deal. Insulin sensitivity, big one that comes with building more muscle. Now, let me backtrack. When you start doing any activity like running, for example, you will build a little bit of muscle, especially in the legs, but that's a quick plateau. And when it comes to things like insulin sensitivity, you want more muscle because it's going to help you utilize carbohydrates better. So without going into the science of it all, just know that more muscle equals better insulin sensitivity. So if that is a issue for you, like if you are really sensitive to sugar spikes and drops and things like that, you might be surprised when you start doing some strength training, some standardized weightlifting programs where you're able to build lean muscle. Sometimes that helps level that stuff out and feel a whole lot better and hormonally put you in a much better position to get the results that you want and just feeling better overall. Because when you are like insulin resistant, for example, and you find it hard to lose weight, a lot of the times that happens is because it makes it hard to do the things that are necessary. You don't walk as much. You don't do as much throughout the day because you're feeling tired, because you're lethargic, because maybe you're feeling a little bit dizzy due to the low blood sugar or whatever you got going on. And that gets in the way of the things that matter the most when it comes to achieving the goals that you're trying to achieve. So let's try and get ourselves in a place where we're able to do that with the most ease possible. Next is improving your basal metabolic rate. Again, because of muscle. When you have more muscle, you burn more calories at rest, which is what your basal metabolic rate is. It's the amount of calories that your body utilizes just to do daily things, just to do basic things that don't require any activity whatsoever, like bodily functions. So maintaining your muscle mass is one of them. Making sure your heart is beating, making sure your lungs are operating, pushing fluids through your body. That stuff takes energy. So we want to make sure that we are putting ourselves in a position where our bodies are burning up a lot of calories, because then guess what? You get to eat more food and maintain at the end of that. So it really ends up being a really good result when it comes to maintenance and holding on to your results long term. Which brings me to my next one. I got ahead of myself. Long-term fat loss maintenance. It's just easier when you have more lean body mass to maintain a good body composition where your body fat levels are in a healthy range, because you can eat more. There's a lot more wiggle room. When you're in maintenance, there's like a window of calories. It's not necessarily like this dead set number, especially with any calorie range you're going with, whether it's a deficit, maintenance, or a surplus. It's always like a little bit of a range, but maintenance is a really big range because your body is going to fluctuate 3 to 5 pounds in either direction. So again, that I say that because a lot of people freak out on the scale. They see it go up and down and they're like, oh my God, this is bad. This is bad. When it's like, no, your body's just in a constant state of flux. And this is that one snapshot you're getting at this precise moment. And tomorrow it's probably going to be different. And the day after that, it's probably going to be different. But when you're in maintenance, that 3 to 5 pound range up and down stays more consistent when you're able to use more calories, when you're able to eat a bunch and then you go work out and you've got all this muscle, utilizing those carbohydrates, making sure that you're using that protein to rebuild that muscle that you are now packing on. And the fats are going to provide extra energy for whatever cardio you're doing, or it's going to contribute to other bodily functions, allowing you to have a good hormonal profile and things like that. So just know that, hey, your body performs better and has an easier time keeping the results when you have muscle as well. And along with muscle, we want bone density. Like running will improve bone density to a degree, but it's the same as when it comes to muscle, where it's like, yes, it will, but only to a certain point, and then it's a plateau because you only need X amount of it to perform the task that you are performing. Like you don't need that much muscle to run really long distances. Look at all the marathon runners that are elite levels. They are twigs, they are tiny people. And they don't have a whole lot of lean muscle mass because you just don't need that much to lift your foot a little bit off the ground and maintain that posture. Okay. And then the same goes with bone density. You only need X amount to be able to absorb the impact of you jogging and hitting the ground over and over and over and over again. So, how do we improve that? Well, strength training is a really good one. Also, high impact jump training in the right amounts can help a ton with that as well. We want to make sure that we are improving a lot of things so that way you're able to reap all the rewards that come with all these awesome things. And then there's joint health. When you are running and you don't build that muscle and you don't build that bone density, like your joints won't feel as good as if you were to incorporate strength training and doing exercises that don't piss off your joints, that you're able to push and that you're able to develop lean muscle to support those joints. So let's say you can't do a lunge or something. That's fine. If you find that you can do a squat instead of a lunge and you can build all those muscles in your quads and then maybe throw in some calf raises in there, and all of a sudden all these muscles are protecting your knees now, and it's taking pressure off and it's loading it onto the muscle that didn't have the ability to take it on before, and now your joints feel better. And maybe you put off like a joint replacement for a couple more years rather than having to do it a lot earlier on. So that could be a good case for strength training as well. And last but not least, when you run, it just doesn't work all the other areas of your body. And this is assuming that you're going to go for a jog or a run or whatever. And I know swimming and like rucking and things like that do work these areas a little bit, which is great. Very good case for cross training. But I'm going to talk to most people right now and say, if you are just running or walking or jogging, a lot of areas get neglected, like your glutes, your upper back, your core, and your chest. So that's a lot of missed opportunity to build more muscle to get all the benefits that we just listed prior. So the best case scenario when it comes to this specific issue is to have both. You don't want just cardio. You don't want just strength training, because on the flip side of that, if you just do strength training, like, yeah, you'll get all of those benefits, but you might be one of those people that's super duper strong that can't walk a set of stairs. Like, that's a little embarrassing if you're like jacked beyond belief and you are losing your breath just walking up a thing of stairs. And on top of that, it helps you rest a little bit faster between sets. So if you're able to keep your cardio in a good place, you are more efficient during your workouts, and you're actually probably going going to save time because you don't have to rest quite as long between sets to get back to where you want to be, like feeling fresh for that next set, able to put in your best effort. So, yeah, along with that, like circulation improves too. I know like it can help with things like one of the big things that people don't necessarily bring up is that when you do incorporate cardio, sometimes your sex drive goes up. Like the guys, they get a little bit better blood flow downstairs. And for the ladies, just feeling a little bit more energized. That's one thing, but also it helps burn more calories throughout the day for the exact same reason. Your non-exercise activity. But when you do cardio, you have a little bit more energy because of that improved circulation, because you're doing a little bit more activity, which may help with sleep, for example. And that's going to help keep you regular and get you in a nice routine, which will raise your energy levels and burn more calories because you're going to be doing little things like, oh, I'm going to take the stairs because I feel like I can, or I'm going to tap my foot at my desk without even thinking about it because I've got extra energy to spare and I'm a little bit bored or anxious or whatever. Stuff that you don't do when you are tired, when you don't have enough fuel for the day. Okay. Now, that being said, let's move on to number two. Number two is doing too much too soon. So, like, let's say, yeah, I'm doing cardio, I'm doing strength training. Awesome. I want to do it all. I'm going to go and make sure I do everything I possibly can. I'm going to work out 7 days a week. I'm going to work out for 2 hours a day. And that is a recipe for disaster. Number one, you're elevating your injury risk because when you get injured, it's usually not a case of, oh, I just went too heavy or, oh, I just did this wrong exercise. It's no, that exercise is probably fine if you didn't do quite as much weight or as many reps or as many sets. Okay. That whatever you just did, that injury is usually because your body just was not ready for it. And it's because you did too much, too soon, too fast. You want to rev things up. So when you go into the gym or for that run, this initial week, that very first week or two, you want to be very conscious of the fatigue that you are driving your body towards, or the fatigue that you are elevating in your body. Because if you are accumulating. There we go. God, my brain is not working this morning. The fatigue accumulation, you want to keep it very minimal in the first week or two, because that's when you get delayed onset muscle soreness beyond belief. Okay. If you're not injured, like you will probably feel super duper sore if you just crush yourself that first week. And that is going to result in doing actually less work overall than if you were to just go at, say, 70, 80%. So when you do hit the gym, like when you're doing your sets, try and stop a few reps shy of failure. When you're doing your sets, do like 3. Don't do 5, 6, 10 sets for like multiple exercises. I'm telling you right now, I work with people on the daily year round that get amazing results, and they do it with basically 4 exercises, maybe 4 to 6 exercises of 3 sets each and 10 repetitions. That's it. Okay. You don't need to go crazy to get the results that you want. And you don't want to sacrifice your life outside of the gym for the results that you want, because you can have the best of both worlds. You can push just hard enough where you feel good leaving the gym and you're able to do more outside of the gym, which is going to fuel the positivity around all this. Okay. Because at the end of the day, we don't want a negative relationship with exercise, which a lot of people do develop because like every time I exercise, I hurt myself. Every single time I feel like crap. Every single time I just can't stick with it. And it's like, well, why do you think you would stick with it if you feel like crap all the time? You got to learn to train intelligently, because when you do train intelligently, it feels really freaking good. You feel really energized throughout the day. You feel amazing. You're that fit friend in the group that people turn to that say, hey, can you lift this for me? Or can you help me move? Or like, oh, you're the strong one. Or, oh, I can't lift my arm up. Can you get that thing from the top shelf? And then you become that person that people look up to, that people say, I want to feel the way she feels, or I want to move the way she moves, but I just can't because I don't have that relationship with exercise. I just don't know what program I could do without hurting myself. And that stuff matters. You got to figure out what your secret sauce is so you can get all these benefits. Now on to the next thing. Number 3. This is a big one that happens with the fat loss crowd: underfueling. So when it comes to underfueling, I'm talking mainly calories, because calories are energy. They're not something to be feared. They're something to be managed and something to be understood, because if you have the right amount of calories, your body responds the way that you want it to. Okay. And if you are thinking, oh, but this thing matters more, this thing matters more, when it comes to weight loss, calories are it. And that's it. Flat out. Nothing else matters when it comes to losing scale weight, calories are what are going to drive that. Now, do other factors make a difference? Absolutely. But if your calories are not in check, every other thing you're thinking about right now doesn't make diddly squat difference. Because if you cut out carbs, if you cut out fats, if you do whatever restriction you're thinking of right now and the calories are too high, nothing's going to happen. You are not going to lose weight. And that's just a fact. So we want to make sure that our calories are in a place where we need them. Now, if they are too low, your body will compensate. So I never like seeing people go under their basal metabolic rate, what I just mentioned prior, which is like that bare minimum that you need to fuel your body at rest. Now, if you go under for one day, it's not a big deal. That's literally what our fat stores are for those days where we don't eat quite enough. And then we pull from the fat to make up for that net negative calorie balance. So when we're operating day to day, we're always going to be at positive, neutral, or negative calorie balance. And when we're in negative, that's when we pull energy because we got to find it from somewhere. We're not just going to do activities. We're not going to just all of a sudden be able to operate without any sort of fuel. That's like, oh, I'm just going to drive with no gas. No, that's not how that works. So when it's negative, yeah, we pull from fat stores because we have it stored up. When it's neutral, we're good. We're balancing it out. When it's positive, like when we're overeating, that's when we start storing because just in case we go into that negative balance again, we need something to pull from. And then if you can't pull from fat stores, like let's say you're way too lean, that's when it pulls from like muscle and bone and things like that. Or if you're not getting a stimulus, if you're not strength training and you're in a deficit, it will also pull from bone and from muscle and organ tissue and things like that because that's more expensive. So you always want to make sure that you're staying active and doing your strength training, doing your cardio, whatever your calorie budget is. There's no, oh, I'm going to work out hard after the diet. No, that's bullshit. That doesn't work. And whoever's preaching that is a freaking idiot. Anywho, so just to bring it back a little bit, what I'm getting at here with the calories we're burning, the whole concept of your metabolism is your total daily energy expenditure. That's how many calories you burn throughout the day. So that's made up of 4 different things. Your basal metabolic rate is the biggest chunk of that pie. That's like 60-70% of your total daily energy that you burn is like literally you doing nothing. Okay. Next is non-exercise activity thermogenesis. This is that second biggest slice. That's just doing random stuff throughout the day, like me talking with my hands or tapping your foot at your desk or walking from your office to your boss's office. Like that would be non-exercise activity. It's not really intentional. It's just daily activity. Third is thermic effective food. This is how much energy it takes to eat, digest, excrete all the food that you're eating. Now, when you eat those foods that we always say, oh, you should eat these foods, these real foods, these whole foods, these unprocessed foods, those are the ones that burn the most calories because they are not processed. Your body breaking it down is literally your body processing foods. So the more along the scale you are when it comes to unprocessed versus ultra processed, the closer you are to ultra processed, the less your body has to work. The closer you are to unprocessed, the harder it has to work. So when you have things like protein and fiber, it takes a lot of energy to break that stuff down. Also, healthy fats, like it will take a while to burn that stuff up compared to like a pixie stick, for example. Okay, that would literally require almost no effort on your body and it's just going to go straight to wherever it needs to be. So if you're low on energy and you need that pixie stick to get you through a workout, it'll get utilized pretty quickly. Or if you're way over on calories, it's going to go right to fat because you've already got enough calories for everything you need to do. So yeah, that being said, certain things will affect your total daily energy expenditure. It's not super consistent and reliable when it comes to person because certain things will affect it. Like if you have a thyroid issue or certain medical conditions or a lot of psychiatric medications will drop people's metabolism, like their basal metabolic rate and their non-exercise activity in particular, because number one, when it comes to your basal metabolic rate, like certain things will be affected and you won't operate as efficiently or non-efficiently, which can be due to these thyroid issues and things like that. And also, when you're on certain medications, you feel a little lethargic, you feel a little out of it, you feel like you don't really want to move. That's going to reduce how much you move throughout the day, that non-exercise activity thermogenesis, and it's going to drive that number down. So this is why you always want to coordinate with your medical team. You want to have your doctor on board. You want to talk to people that understand these conditions and understand what your goals are, so that way you can make sure, hey, I'm doing everything that I can to make sure that my body is able to burn as many calories as possible, so I can eat enough food so that I can stay sane throughout this whole thing. And if you're able to do that, then it makes the whole process easier. You're more likely to reach your goals, and you're more likely to hold on to those results long term. All right, number 4, going all in. Okay, let's cut the crap. If you're not going all in 365 days out of the year, then it's seasonal and it's bullshit and it's not going to serve you long term. So why are we doing this over and over again? Oh, I just got to want it more. I just need more discipline. Bullshit. You need better systems. You don't need more discipline. You don't need to go on this Rocky like motivational journey. Does that feel good in the moment? Yes. Does it make you feel like you're living in a movie? Yes. Does it make you feel like you're better than other people because you're pushing harder than they are? Yes, but it doesn't do the job long-term for most people. Just ask anybody who's ever done 75 hard. Okay. Now the original 75 hard, not a bad idea. Like, it was very basic, very doable, and very realistic for a lot of people. But then, like we always do, we make it harder and harder and harder because I'm more hardcore than you. Let's not go down that route. Or this also applies to the people that are like, I'm just going to cut out sugar. I'm just not going to eat any carbs. Yeah, well, you love carbs and you are surrounded by carbs, and your other significant others, your family, everybody else loves carbs, and you're going to be surrounded by them when you are in social situations. So are you going to be that person that's like, I can't, and then eventually give in and hate yourself for it, and then feel guilty, and then all of a sudden you binge on it, and then you restrict yourself, and then you do the binge restrict cycle over and over and over again, which actually results in gaining weight over time, even though that was the opposite of the goal. So are you going to be that person, or are you going to say, you know what, I'm going to learn how to work carbs into my diet in a healthy way so I can stop this bullshit all in, all out, super restrictive mindset, because I don't want to actually do what I need to do, which is build healthy habits. That's the one thing that so many people just really need to embrace this year going into 2026 is build healthy habits. Stop with these methods, okay? Stop with all these random diets, these fads, okay? There's methods, there's a saying that I keep hearing over and over again, and it's so applicable, okay? Methods are many, principles are few. Methods never last, principles usually do. Okay. Methods are things like 75 hard or keto or paleo or carnivore and like vegetarian for fat loss. Like, things like that are methods. They are going to come and go, and they always have a different package on them, like Atkins back in the day, or Jenny Craig, or the Zone diet. All these things are the exact same thing packaged over and over and over again, but they're all following the same principle, which is calorie restriction. So if we just do calorie restriction and we figure out how to do that while making sure that we're staying healthy throughout that process, like making sure that we're hitting our protein requirements, our fiber requirements, getting plenty of micronutrients in there, making sure that our blood work stays in a good spot. Shout out to all the carnivores that are putting themselves at a risk for early heart attack. So make sure that you are in that place where you're able to do things in a healthy way, in a way that feels doable and sustainable, so that way you can keep doing it over and over and over again. And that's where the hard part is, the consistency of it all. All in does not breed consistency. It breeds seasonal effort. Okay. You're all in for this moment in time, and then one little thing goes wrong, or you hit a tough season, like life gets busy or somebody gets sick or whatever, and then you're all out. And that all out season usually lasts way longer than the all in season, which ends up shooting you in the foot. You end up getting the opposite of what you were going for. So let's not do that. Let's build healthy habits. And the way that you do that is, number one, starting small. Pick one thing right now that you're like, I'm not doing it, but honestly, if I give it a little bit of attention, I could probably nail that. And that's a great starting point. So any of the healthy habits you know of, which is anything you hear me talk about, like protein, get it at every single meal, or getting fiber at every single meal, making sure there's a fruit or veggie at every meal, making sure that you exercise at least say once or twice a week bare minimum. Okay, getting X amount of steps in. I like 5 to 10K. Making sure that you drink a little bit of water. Now notice I got a long list here because these are things that people have always needed to work with me on, but just pick one and say, hey, that's pretty doable. I don't even know I'm not doing it right now, but if I focus in on it, I can nail it. And then once you do, and it's part of your routine, it's part of your daily life, then okay, stack another. So let's say you do your protein and you're like, all right, sweet. I figured out how to get protein at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Hell yeah. Now I've got that down. I don't really have to think about it too much. I'm going to try and get fiber in at every single meal. I like getting and aiming for like 5 grams to start because 10 can be a little overwhelming for some people and lead them to go to the bathroom a little bit more frequently. But 5 grams per meal is an awesome starting point, and the goal being to rev it up to that 25 to 35 grams a day. So, before I go down that rabbit hole, just know that's what I'm getting at is like just add on and stack them. And then as you do that, just know certain things will fall off and it's going to require a little bit more attention. But that's the name of the game when it comes to lifelong fitness is, okay, I'm doing 10 things right. The 11th is lagging a little bit. I'm going to work on the 11th for this month. And then when you work on that 11th one, and you nail it, sometimes that first one falls a little bit low. And we're just constantly refining, constantly trying to make it even better and better and better. And you always have something to think about, something to work on, and a goal to work on so that that keeps you focused and doing this for the long term. Okay. Last but not least, number 5. This is probably the biggest one. And I've kind of been alluding to it as I've been talking, and that is doing what everybody else does. Okay. You hear people at work, you hear family members, you hear people on TV, and they're like, oh, they're doing this thing, this diet, this workout program. And guess what? They're probably going to fail at it. And that's not me being a dick. That's me just saying, hey, these are the stats. Okay. 74% of adults over the age of 20 are overweight or obese. 75% of people don't meet general fitness guidelines. Okay. 3/4 of people right now don't have a fucking clue. Pardon my French. They are doing their best, but they're doing these things that are just not going to work. They're just not going to do what needs to be done long term. And that's because everybody's trying to do what everybody else is doing. And that's usually things that are marketed heavily, things in magazines, things on advertisements for television, things you see on social media. And all of that is usually garbage. It just confuses you and makes this whole process harder than it has to be and leads you down the wrong path. What you need is to stop going to the fad diets. You got to stop doing the exercise programs that just burn you out. And you got to stop chasing these feelings and start chasing progress. Because at the end of the day, you should be able to look at a sheet of paper or an Excel sheet or something where you track your metrics, where you're like, hey, I wanted to get stronger this month. Did that happen? Okay. I was able to do a 20 pounder on week 1. Now I can do 30 pounds on week 4. Or let's say you're trying to improve your body composition by burning body fat. My waist measurement was 40 inches this month, or last month, and then this month it's 39 inches, which means I lost a whole inch of my waist. I'm getting closer to my goals. And that's what we need to be chasing. Not, oh, I'm sweating so much, I feel like this workout's really doing something. No, it's not. Not unless you can see that progress on what exactly you are chasing. Like, get very concrete, get very tactile, put it down somewhere so you know, hey, I'm getting closer. Like, if you were to put it on your wall, you would see like a line or a bar filling up closer and closer to 100%. That's what we're going for. That get to that 100% of your goal, not just these daily things that scratch the itch, but don't actually build the habits that you need to get the results that you want. Okay, let's do it differently this year. Let's be different. Let's not be like 75% of people. You're going to be in that minority that's going to be kicking ass and taking names this year. But you got to start doing it by doing the right things that are going to serve you. Now, that all being said, I know it's a lot. Like, there is a lot of things that need to happen And it feels like it has to happen all at once, but it doesn't. It just needs to happen in the right order. And honestly, that's what I do for my clients in FIT40 coaching, whether they're here in person in Greenville, North Carolina, or working online, where I give them the plan and hold them accountable. Regardless, it gets done. And it's basically just do this. Like that's what the program is you and me talking and saying, hey, based on what you got going on right now, based on what you want, I would just do this right now for this month. And then week to week, we're going to keep track and make sure, hey, we're on pace. We're feeling good. We're able to handle this and make adjustments along the way so that way you don't fall off. So if that sounds like something that you need and you're like, hey, I'm done screwing around, I don't want to keep doing this by myself and hitting the same result over and over and over again, then that's what coaching is for. Okay. If you want to see what it's all about, I do a totally free discovery call. It's a quick 10 minutes. Just click the link down below, pick a day and time, and we'll get you on the schedule and we'll talk about it. And actually, as I say that, you don't even need to pick a day or time. You literally just submit your name and your phone number, and then I reach out and we'll pick a time and we'll figure it out from there. So yeah, if you're interested, definitely click that link. But let's say you're not quite there yet and you're like, listen, I just came across you, guy. I don't need that right now. I don't know if I even trust you yet. Totally cool. That's why I put together my FIT40 starter kit. It's a totally free starter kit that has free follow along workouts, like videos where you can just work out with me in the moment. And I show you how to do everything that we're doing in the workout, so that way your form is on point and you're feeling good at the end. There's also a new PFC nutrition guide in there and PFC recipes. So protein, fiber, color, like I alluded to before. Okay, there's awesome resources in there. And along with all that, there is a 7-day reset calendar, which is awesome for like right now, because if you're just starting, this is that calendar that I would whip out and be like, okay, this is what I'm going to follow. Basically, you just pick a exercise and nutrition habit, and then you track it for 7 days. And the goal is nail 7 days to get some good momentum going forward. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. All right. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in all the way through. I appreciate you being here. I will see you next time. But until then, go kick some ass. Bye-bye.